Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Rakan updated complete guide. And before we really, jump into this guide, of course I'm going to refer you guys to the basic guide. I'll put up in the cards above right now for his skills, leveling order, tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. But with that said, now let's jump straight into our guide. So let's start off with the items. Now I think Rakan has amazing build flexibility at the moment. He has a large range of items that you can see here that is pretty much completely situational, right? So I'm gonna try to go through them one by one. So first off, of course, is gonna be a support item. Support item is of course going to be the relic shield, giving yourself health and allowing you to control the wave a bit better. Spectral sickle kind of sucks on him because spectral sickle of course means you need to actually proc it by dealing damage to the enemy. You don't want to be forced to engage when you don't want to, so sickle is pretty bad. You can go for ancient coin, which will of course give you a little bit more ability haste, so that is fine as well. But let's talk about the boots next. So you normally want to go for the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, of course, because you do get that mana regen as well as getting the ability haste. 30 ability haste is really big on Rakan because Rakan's cooldowns on his W and his E is really long. So having shorter cooldowns is actually really important to spam your spells. And you're pretty much always going to go for Proto Belt because the main reason for that is when you ulti, you can actually Proto Belt the moment you ulti, but you can't flash the moment you ulti. So very common is you can ulti, jump in with your W. Sometimes you need a Proto Belt forward just to hit people with the charm, or the other way around, you can ulti Proto Belt and then use the W to close the distance, charm them, and then knock them up, things like that. So pretty much you're always going to be wanting to go for Proto Belt. Now, after that, the rest of your build is literally completely situational, right? So I'm going to run you guys through what you want to do, right? So first off is Yordle Trap, right? So if you want to go for Yordle Trap, this should be your first item, right? So of course Yordle Trap gives you health, armor, as well as ability haste. And after you CC someone, if someone gets the kill, you will of course get bonus gold for yourself and your ally. So if you want to go for Yordle Trap, you want to go for it first item. So if you take a look at the top players, you'll see the top guy is actually going for AP, and then the next two guys are not using Yordle Trap. But on a couple of guys in the top 10, they do use Yordle Trap, so it's really a bit of personal preference whether or not you want to go Yordle Trap. I feel that it's a little bit of a feast or famine item in the sense that if you're not doing very well, sometimes Yordle Trap can be kind of useless because you're not going to be getting kills, and you're not going to be proccing Yordle Trap. Right, so, but two items that is generally found in most Rakan builds are going to be Mandate and Zeke's. Right, so you can see here you have Zeke's Mandate, you have Zeke's here. So Mandate, the reason why it's very good is once again you get health, AP, and ability haste. When you knock people up, you are going to, or charm people for that matter, you are going to apply the Mandate on them, and when your allies proc it, they're going to do extra damage and give both yourself and them a speed up, which is very helpful. And then of course you have Zeke's. Now Zeke's of course gives you once again health, armor, mana, and ability haste. But this is the important part, the passive. When you cast your ultimate, you're going to be getting a blizzard around you, and this blizzard is not only going to deal damage, but it's also going to slow enemies and leave a trail behind you. Now this is very important because this trail allows allies to catch up to your engage and also slows enemies down so that your allies can follow up on your engage. Then Crown is a very common item in Rakan just for that extra shield, because when you engage a lot of the times you are going to be taking a lot of damage, and this is going to be of course very important for you to block some of the damage and not simply just get one shot. And here my game is kind of just lagging out, so we're gonna have to wait a little moment here. Okay, so now jumping into the rest of our items, you can see you have a couple more options here, right? So Oblivion Orb just for anti-heal if your team needs anti-heal, and then of course you also have Oceanic Trident. Now you only want to go for this anti-shielding item if there's a ton of shielding on the enemy team. It's generally it's generally a waste if there's not a lot of shielding on the enemy team. So if you have a lot of shielding, then you want to go for this one. And then Protector's Vow is also a very common Rakan item. It gives yourself and your ally a shield, as well as giving you pretty good stats. And then Frozen Heart is an item you can go for if there are like at least 2+ attack speed champions. Now generally I only build it when I see 3+ attack speed champions, which is really rare, so it's going to be like something like an ADC, a Yasuo, and like a Tryndamere or something like that, but it's really rare for that to happen, so I rarely ever build Frozen Heart. But in those games that they do appear, Frozen Heart is such an OP item in those cases. So Next up, we're going to talk about the runes, right? So for Rakan, for the runes, you generally want to be going for the Glacial Augment rune. So Glacial Augment, of course, gives you that damage reduction when you auto someone, as well as the slow feel when you hit your CC. So it's really good when you go in with the W or with your ulti, both of which helps out a lot. Right, the other option you have is going to be this loadout, which is with Electrocute a little bit more offensive, but generally you can see Glacial as a lot more popular. Right, then you'll go for Courage of the Colossus for that extra shield when you CC someone, Bone Plating because you're a ranged champion and you can block a lot of damage this way, and then your Perseverance here where you will gain resistances and tenacity when you get immobilized, and Hex Splash is very helpful to make plays with. Now, I'm not a very good user of Hex Splash myself, but if you know how to use Hex Splash, it's going to come in really handy. Then for the spells, you want to go for Flash together with Ignite. Now, Ignite gives you, of course, that kill potential, so you generally always want to go for this one. But with all that said, let's move on to our gameplay. Alright, so now let's move on to the gameplay itself, but before we really get into it, of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, I'll be sure to address them or to drop a like and such. So, in this game, it's a pretty interesting one, right? So we're playing with a Samira, and that's kind of the main reason why I chose to pick Rakan, because honestly, my support pool is not insane. I am an ADC main myself, so really, I can only play Rakan support, and other than that, I can only really play Ashe in the support role and Senna, right? Because basically the two of them are ADCs that Ashe is obviously a champion I already know how to play, and Senna is pretty simple to play for an ADC player, so yeah. So Rakan is the only real support that I've actually put time into and actually played a decent amount. So since I'm playing with Samira, I can't really play Senna or Ashe because there isn't really enough CC and engage for my Samira, so I kind of need to play Rakan in this position. And yeah, that's kind of why I chose to pick Rakan. However, we run into an issue, right? So Samira basically first picked here, and I second picked. And then later on in the draft, you see Maokai getting picked. Now, the issue with Maokai, you will see it sooner or later, right? As we go for a really quick engage, quick trade there, is that Maokai kind of counters both Samira and Rakan. And the reason why I say that is that as long as you engage onto Maokai with Rakan W, Maokai can actually cancel your W before it hits, right? So what I mean by that is, if you guys notice, when Rakan Ws, he jumps to the spot and there's a circle there, right? And the circle only actually knocks out after like about half a second delay, right? And during this half a second, if the Maokai reacts in time, he will be able to knock you away, and that will actually cancel your knockup completely. Now, leaving you high and dry in a position you don't want to be in, especially because you did not CC the enemies. Like something like that, right? So there, he didn't actually cancel me, but it's something like he basically avoided my knockup using his W, which made him untargetable. So that isn't really what I'm talking about, but it's something similar in the sense that he's not gonna get hit by the W, right? He's gonna be canceling my W, and needless to say, any kind of CC, including Maokai's Q, cancels Samira's ulti. So Maokai is really a pretty big counter to both myself and Samira, and it's for that reason that in the loading screen, you would have already kind of analyzed the matchup, and I would have already basically known that basically Rakan Samira, there's no way we can win lane against Sivir and Nautilus, right? Because Samira has no range, right? So Sivir is going to basically easily push us in all the time. We're going to be permanently stuck under tower. Now, I could look for an engage level 5 to go all in and kill them, but the chances of us killing them when we've basically not been able to poke them at all or do anything to them is very minuscule, right? So here you can see I'm trying to get in some poke, but there's really no poke here. I mean, Maokai took a tower shot, and that's really the only poke that has happened because he stepped too far and took a tower shot, right? But really, we're not going to really be able to poke him or anything like that, right? So I'm probably going to be looking to roam mid, right? Now, looking at the mid matchup, it's Yone versus Ziggs. Now, if both of them play optimally, neither of them should really be killing the other, because Ziggs should be standing far away poking Yone, and Yone should never really get killed by poke. He'll get chunked a little bit, but he shouldn't really get killed by poke, right? Whereas Yone does have kill potential on the Ziggs, but Ziggs should be playing safe enough that Yone should not be able to reach him and kill him. So if both of them play optimally, neither of them really should get killed, right? So here you can see I get cancelled on my Q once again, and on my W, sorry, once again, and that's just kind of a little bit annoying, right? So I'm probably going to be looking to roam mid a little bit, and if I can sway the matchup, because think about it, right? If I can CC Yone with my ulti and my W, Ziggs can very easily get the bomb as well as get the Oh, that was really ugly, but and I barely survived here. I'm running away a little bit. I'm pretty low, but Ziggs could probably easily get the ulti and get the Q onto them. Now here I made a mistake, right? I go back in to try to save my Samira, because I'm thinking maybe if I can get the knockup and stop the damage onto her, maybe she can actually kill both of them, which is possible, but just did not happen. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe I can roll mid here, and maybe I can get the kills for the Ziggs maybe. So yeah, you have to kind of assess the matchups in the loading screen, kind of see what you want to do here. In fact, I could even roam with the Graves for an invade or gank together with the Graves, things like that. Basically, whether or not to ditch your ADC is really something you have to kind of assess in the loading screen. Of course, as an ADC myself, I never really like to get ditched, but sometimes when I do get ditched by a solo queue support, I can understand why, right? Like, if I was this Samira in this situation, I would see why Rakan is not helping me, right? So here you can see, as Samira pushes in, I'm gonna go ahead, get vision, at the jungle entrance, and then I'm gonna roam to mid and see if we can make a play on Yone. Yone has just used his E, so safety tool is down. I try to get the knockup on, doesn't actually hit, but I don't commit my ulti now. Yone is going all the way in, using his ulti. I'm just gonna dash back to Ziggs, back to safety. I still have my ulti. Here I'm channeling Hex Flash, thinking of going in here. But yeah, it's Mordekaiser and he has ulted the Grave, so it doesn't really look like anything's going to be happening here. Now, Ziggs is now getting run down by Mordekaiser, has to flash away to safety, and nothing is really happening here. So we don't want to waste time doing nothing, right? So we're going to roam back to bot and help our Samira. Maybe we can get a play off here, but unfortunately I get spotted by the ward. They know I'm here, so nothing is really going to happen. I'm just going to return to lane, proc my support item a little bit, if my Samira will let me. And looks like she is taking a reset, and I don't particularly need to reset, so I'm not going to actually channel reset. And here we can see Fiddlesticks is doing the dragon. Graves in the meanwhile is fighting at the mid lane. Now here I get hit by a Maokai sapling, so they definitely know that I'm here. Now here we're looking to see if we can get a fight. The fight is pretty convoluted because both teams are kind of split up. Now my team is now grouped together. I'm just going to go for the one shot onto the Yone. And by one shot I mean CC, right? Because I can't one shot Yone myself obviously, but I can tee him up to get killed by my teammates. Now unfortunately, speaking of getting killed, I get killed here. Samira is really low but has the ulti. Don't think she wants to go in. She does go in, flashes in with the Barra as well. Tries to kill Fiddlesticks, but doesn't quite get the kill. Fiddlesticks flashes away into the Graves, but Graves must have been reloading because he didn't get the kill onto Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks actually escapes on 1 HP. Samira also escapes on 1 HP. Right as now I respawn. So now you see here, I actually initially wanted to go top to clear the wave, but the thing is that I still have support item and I have trash wave clear, so no real point doing that, right? So I'm gonna roam back to the bot lane where a wave is accruing, or rather, I guess you could say to help out with the dragon here. And Fiddlesticks is coming. I secure the dragon somehow. Graves is kind of running away a little bit. I'm just gonna hop over the wall. I have 3 stacks of support item, which I really kind of want to proc. Here Yone tries to get the Ziggs. I give Ziggs the shield, knock up, charm everything. But unfortunately Ziggs still ends up dying to the ignite, so we're not able to actually save our Ziggs, which is a little bit unfortunate, but you know, we tried our best, we used all of our tools, nothing much more we could have done here. So here enemy team is trying to force the tower. Now I try to get the knockup on them and initiate here. Samira gets the ulti onto all of them, but unfortunately you see here Maokai cancels her using his CC, and then both myself and Samira end up dying. However, Graves is now on the cleanup. I'm sorry, accidentally panned to set there. But Graves is now on the cleanup, gets the cleanup here. And you can see we're not really off to a hot start. Right? We're 0-3-4 in terms of KDA. But of course, as a support, you shouldn't really be having a lot of kills anyway. So 4 assists and 3 deaths is kind of alright. I guess it's a lot harder to kind of judge a support's KDA compared to like a mage or an ADC who is expected to get kills and low deaths. Whereas with supports, they are like good deaths, right? You can die for a good cause. And you can, of course, you know, sacrifice yourself to get kills for your team. And KDA is not everything when it comes to support. Now here, old habits die hard. I forget that I'm Rakan and I pan to Samira by mistake because I think that I'm Samira. I'm not used to being Rakan, but here there's a little bit of shenanigans in the mid lane. Samira is taking the bot lane tower. Here I finally realize that I'm on the wrong person, and I pan back to myself. And here, ideally, you want to kind of stay out of vision and then look for an opportunity like this to go in. Here you can see we're completely catching out the Yone. Unfortunately, set out Yone away, which is definitely not what we want, right? Like, we don't want Yone to be getting tossed over the safety, right? Set eventually gets the kill, but gets chunked himself, dies to Mordekaiser. Now we have a 3v2 fight here with Mordekaiser basically trying to just tank damage and deal damage at the same time. Our members are low, and all of them have to kind of retreat, whereas the enemy team is now taking to sieging the tower, as Graves is trying his best to clear the minions and save the tower. Pretty successful effort though. Ziggs now uses the last of his mana to just unload all the burst damage onto the enemy team before getting a reset. Now I'm now respawned, and huge wave is at bot, but not much I can really do there. Now here, Mordekaiser is pushing the mid lane together with Maokai, right? So I'm trying to save my mid lane tower here. I actually somehow managed to dissuade them from taking the mid lane tower. Now, honestly, I have to say, if I was Mordekaiser and Maokai, I'll be ignoring Rakan and just going for the tower, right? Because this Rakan is building support. He has Yorl Trap and Lucidity Boots. He's doing no damage. He doesn't even have Electrocute. No point doing anything here. So here I spot a low HP, 2 low HP targets. I'm just going to go for the knock-up combo onto Maokai. I'm expecting my team to be able to finish him off. Nice ulti by the set. And we take out the Maokai. Here's now Sivir is the one in trouble. Now I'm just going to flash forward, ignite, and get the kill onto the Sivir. Ziggs gets the objective bounty onto the tower. Now I'm trying to return back to help my team with the situation. And a pretty huge wave over here. Now, I don't want to steal the wave from Set, but I do want to get XP, right? So I'm just going to get close here with the W and let him take the minions so I can get the passive gold and XP, which, of course, you know, supports are supports, but they still need gold and XP for items and levels, right? So here I'm just hanging around, helping him a little bit. I accidentally steal a minion there, but it's alright. And now we're going to reset and start building towards our next item, which is the Imperial Mandate. So in this particular game, I actually decided to go for the YOLO Trap. Now, we aren't really doing the best. Our team is kind of slightly behind in this game, but I can completely see my team being able to kill the enemy team. So I do actually think that YOLO Trap here is pretty good, right? As long as you feel that your team can get takedowns onto the enemy team, going for YOLO Trap is a pretty good idea because it gives you a lot of gold. Like, it essentially kind of semi-pays for itself eventually, right? If you get enough gold from it, it kind of pays for itself. So here, Graves is going in for a fight onto Yone. I'm trying to get the knock-up onto Yone. Unfortunately, I get rooted instead. Now here, I already have the ulti on, so instead I'm just going to charm the 2 tanks here and kind of attract attention away from my team and get the knock-up again, dash back out again. This is completely Rakan's playstyle, the in and out playstyle. You want to go in and go out, go in and go out whenever you have spell cooldowns. Knock up onto the Maokai, allow Samira to pick up the kill. I'm really, really low. Dash over to the Ziggs. Basically, Ziggs being there kind of saved my life because otherwise I would have gotten hit by the Yone ulti and died. But I was able to jump to my ally and remain safe. In the meantime, my team is cleaning up the fight and I'm getting those Yorl stack, gold. YOLO Trap, sorry, gold. Right, and now my team is now going to be doing the Dragon. I'm just going to head over to help out just a little bit, taking the Blast Plant over. It is an objective bounty for my team, so that's pretty nice to have. And also that bot lane tower is pretty low, so that would be pretty nice to get as well. Ziggs laying out the bombs everywhere to ensure we secure the Dragon. Objective bounty. Now the Dragon itself is not very important, but what's more important is the objective bounty. As I get the knockout onto the Fiddlesticks here. Objective bounty once again. Now Set recalling the very dangerous position, gets caught by Maokai. Not a lot I can do to help him, right? I'm not going to jump in like 1v3 and knock people up. Mordekaiser actually outs him, putting him in a 1v1, but Mordekaiser does secure the kill inside the Death Realm, putting Mordekaiser at 6, 0, and 2. Now I can see majority of the enemy team is doing well. Now here I'm just going to go for a knock-up onto Yone. Now obviously I don't think myself and Ziggs can actually kill Yone, but we can just, put a little bit of pressure on him, right? Enemy team sees 2 of us bot, going straight for the Baron. So here I'm going to quickly recall. I grabbed myself the Mandate. I'm rushing to the Baron, but I realize my jungler is not going there. So there's no actual point to go to the Baron. We end up conceding the Baron to the enemy team, so no fight to be had here. Now, importantly, you will notice that I swapped to Sweeper. So especially in the mid to late game, the yellow trinkets are not as useful anymore. Like, yes, of course, getting vision will definitely always be important. However, despite the fact that vision is always important, removing vision is equally as important because honestly, in the mid to late game, vision denial is a lot more important than getting vision, right? Because what I mean by it, for example, instead of getting vision on the dragon, right? Why not deny the enemy team's vision on the dragon? So they don't know what's happening, they have to face check, things like that, right? So huge clump of enemies. So this is Rakan's dream fight, right? So in there, see the Pro Belt combo there where I basically ult in, I dash in with the W, Proto Belt forward to get the charm onto the two people in the back, which is, I believe that was Sivir and Maokai if I'm not mistaken, and then my team manages to kill Yone as well as Maokai, 1-for-2 trade with Yone dying as well. Right, with the enemy team having the Baron though, killing two people is really helpful in terms of, you know, removing their ability to push. Now here I'm helping the Graves because he is getting into a fight with Mordekaiser, so I'm just kind of checking the bush for him, ensure that he remains safe and Mordekaiser doesn't kill him. Mordekaiser 7-0 and 2 really fat at the moment, so we really don't want Mordekaiser to be getting any more kills. And honestly, as a support, it's always your job to kind of assess who is your win condition, right? So let's take a look here. Right, Set, he's feeding. Obviously, he's not going to be my win condition, right? So we're between Graves, Ziggs, and Samira, right? Ziggs, yes, he is doing pretty well, but he's not going to benefit a whole lot from me helping, right? So here you can see I am helping Ziggs, but I'm helping Ziggs to not get ulted by Mordekaiser here by dissuading him, right? So now it's between Samira and Graves, right? So Samira is doing pretty decent, right, in terms of goal, but far and away, Graves is obviously doing the best out of my team, right? So this could be the time to support Graves. So you can see now I'm gonna follow the Graves, right? So I'm gonna support the Graves. You always want to play to your win condition, right? You don't want to be playing to your 2 and 5 set, right? You want to be playing to your fed Graves. Now Graves doesn't have the prettiest KDA, but obviously Graves is a power farmer, and he has been farming this entire game. He has 3 completed items, going for the 4th completed item now, and Graves at 3 items and onwards is going to be a strong champion. Of course, I play Graves myself. I've made guides on him, so I do know that for a fact. So I definitely do want to be helping my Graves. Of course, when Graves is just clearing wave on the side lane, I don't need to be standing there necessarily with him. I could hover him if I wanted to, but in this case, there are things to be done in mid, so I'm just going to here sweep. You can see I remove all the enemy vision in our jungle, which is really important because enemy team having vision in our jungle means that they will know who is where, and that would mean that they can always make a cross-map player, and they always will have information to stay safe or to make a play. And of course, as I said, when you deny this vision, the enemy team has a less informed decision when they choose to do something, right? So it's always going to be important. So now it's a critical period of the game. Why do I say that? Because you can see that both Dragon and Baron are going to be spawning real soon. Now, Baron, of course, is always going to be a major objective, right? And Dragon is actually going to be soul for my team, Ice Dragon Soul, if we are able to get it. So both objectives are kind of important. Now, I personally think Baron is way more important than Dragon, so I'm personally happy to give up Soul for a Baron, right? So let's see what happens, right? Samira obviously is on the other side of the map. Fiddlesticks here is kind of walking. He's not really in my range though. So here you can see I try to go in onto the Fiddlesticks, but I get rooted. Unfortunately, and I don't have any way to remove CC because I'm not really an ADC. Now here I'm trying to help my Graves, but he gets ulted by Mordekaiser. So instead I'm going to go in for the knock-up here onto the rest of them. And here I'm trying to save my Ziggs. I managed to save Ziggs for a little bit, but Ziggs ends up dying eventually by the hand of the Maokai. And Samira and Graves are the 2 last people alive, right? So the situation doesn't look too good, but in the end of the day, it's a 3-for-2 trade. So it's not really the worst in the world. And Graves is really fed, Samira is decently fed, and they could be able to do something here possibly. So here you can see Graves is going in, kind of dashes backward. Maokai in a little bit of trouble. Graves one-shots him, ults the other 2. They take a bunch of damage. Graves flashes forward, tries to burst down the Yone, but Yone unfortunately does have the shield bow. So that is not really going to work. And as a result, Graves is just going to get the recall. Now, unfortunately, Graves is not dead, so that's all. Yeah, I mean, we'll be happy about that, right? So the dragon despawned because Elder Dragon is coming up. Now, the issue is there's a huge wave in top. We really need to be clearing this wave in top, right? So Samira is going for the wave. I'm not going to steal the wave from her. I'm just going to knock up the wave, kind of get it low for her to be able to kill. Now, 1 minion did die to another minion, though, so that's a little bit unfortunate. And here she's going to clear the next wave. I need to make my way to the Elder Dragon already. Now, I honestly don't think I should be taking the gate here, because Samira could have taken the gate while I walked down, since she's the one that's coming later. But I make a mistake here by taking the gate. And Samira now has to walk down, and she'll be late to the fight. Now here, huge fight actually breaks out. I pop the ulti. I'm going to focus the Fiddlesticks because he is the jungler. Obviously, he's the most important member. Somehow, I don't die. Somehow survive on 1 HP, and we're able to actually take out the Fiddlesticks, who is their enemy jungler. Now, our jungler is also dead. So, in the end, we have both junglers dead, but the enemy ADC dead. So, positive trait here. In this game, I actually go for the anti-shielding because we have shielding, of course, on Mordekaiser. A lot of shielding on Mordekaiser. We have shielding on Yone with his shield bow and his W, and also we have shielding onto Maokai. So here, I'm focusing the Elder Dragon, by the way, and of all people, the support gets the Elder Dragon. I'm not sure how, but no one else is focusing the Elder Dragon other than me, right? I'm just hitting the Elder Dragon with my autos, and I actually managed to secure the Elder Dragon for the team. Right, and as a result, we're now going to go in onto the Mordekaiser. We one-shot him with the Elder Dragon. And we're building no damage items, by the way. We're building YOLO Trap. You know, we do have Imperial Mandate. And, of course, we also have the Oceanic Trident. All of which are generally supportive items. Although 2 of them do give me AP. Right, so now with the Elder Dragon, this is going to basically going to be a free Baron. And with Elder and Baron, we can look to try to end the game. With, of course, these game-ending objectives. So here, Fiddlesticks ulting over the wall, knock up by myself. We kill him with the help of the Elder Dragon, and we secure the Baron itself. Now here I'm pretty low, so I'm just going to grab some fruit. I don't really want to recall because my team is not recalling, and with the Baron and Elder, we can look to push, get towers, and hopefully end the game. So we have Graves in a 1v3, gets a little bit overzealous here. It's full build at this point, by the way, but even a full build Graves cannot really 1v3 here, so he ends up going down. And as a result, we lose a lot of pressure on our push, right? Because our most fed member is now dead, right? We do still have our Ziggs and our Samira, who are both doing relatively well, right? But without Graves, it's gonna kind of prevent us from really pushing as hard as we could. But we basically take down all the towers except for the inhibitors. Now we're going for the inhibitors themselves. I'm going to see if we can get it, right? We still have 20 plus seconds of Elder Dragon, so enemy team has to watch out. Right, so Ziggs gets the tower with the bomb. I'm trying to look for an engage if possible, and use the power of the Elder to kill people before it falls off. But at this point, my team gives up the push, and we are going to just recall with taking the mid lane inhib with us. Right, so here at this point, we get the Zeeks, and we're basically quote-unquote full build, right? We still have support item, but we're basically full build. We could, of course, sell the support item later on to get more items if required, if we reach that stage of the game, or rather, I should say. And here, honestly, now with both objectives down, with no more Baron buff, no more Elder buff, we're now just kind of looking for an opportunity to end the game or make a play. So here, as I said, I'm going to follow my Graves, right? Because he's really fed. Yone goes in on him. Very nice QSS by the Graves. We're going to unload our combo onto him. Now he flashes for. I'm trying to Proto Belt to catch the Fiddle, but Fiddle is kind of escaping. And we're not really able to catch him. Maokai and Silver, though, coming in from the other side. Silver gets ulted by the set and is now running for the hills. Now Maokai is the one tanking the damage. He is running and he's pretty low. Set almost kills him but doesn't. Now Fiddlesticks comes in, somehow doesn't really do very much damage to the ulti at all, despite having 4 full items. And with that, Samira goes in, finally goes ham. Took an entire game for Samira to get that good ult, but finally gets it, and as a result, distracts the entire enemy team, allowing us to end the game. So, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.